Hi, welcome to this video about user-defined models with process. If you use the process macro from Hayes to test for moderation, mediation or moderated mediation, you have several different model numbers to choose from. But there are even more possibilities. You can define your own model. That is, you can test models that are not part of the predefined models for which there are model numbers. In this video I will show you how. You can use this process for SPSS or with process for R. In both cases you need syntax, so you can't do this with the process menu for SPSS. But with SPSS syntax or R syntax, you can define your own models. We will start with this model. If you know process, maybe you realize this is process model 7, that is a moderated mediation with a moderated A path from the independent variable to the mediator, but it's process model 7 with two mediators. Of course, we could simply request model number 7 for this. When learning to program your own process model, I think it's a good idea to start with a model for which there is a model number, because if you program that model, then you can check with this model with a model number whether you get exactly the same results. And only if you have successfully rebuilt one or two of the models that are already part of process, then I would build your own custom model, because then you can be sufficiently sure that you know how to program the model. So, how do we program this model if we don't use model number 7? In this model we have two components. We have effects from one variable to another, from the independent variable to the first and second mediator, and from the independent variable and both mediators to the dependent variable. In order to program those in process, we need a B matrix. And the second part we have, some of those effects are moderated. In this example, the two A paths. In order to program that, we need a W matrix. There are two additional matrices I don't use in this example. If you want to program a model with two moderators, you would include a Z matrix as well to specify which effects are moderated by the second moderator, and you would include a WZ matrix to specify which effects are influenced by the interaction between the first and the second moderator. There's a last matrix I don't explain in this video, that's the C matrix, because you can also specify which covariate is used in which part of the model. I've made a separate video about that. You will find the link in the description. There you can learn how to specify which covariate is used in which part of the model. So let's start with the B matrix. Here we have 5 effects from one variable to another variable, and we have to tell process to estimate those 5 effects. And for that we need the B matrix. We start with the first mediator. The first mediator can only get an effect from the independent variable. And since we want to have this effect, our B matrix starts with a 1. The second mediator could have an effect from the independent variable, and it could have an effect from the first mediator. Here we want the effect from the independent variable, so 1, but we don't want an effect from the first mediator to the second mediator, so the second part is 0. And for the dependent variable, we want an effect from the independent variable, 1. We want an effect from the mediator 1, another 1. And we want an effect from the mediator 2, another 1. And taking all those numbers together, we have our B matrix. 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. This is the way we would use this matrix with process for SPSS. And this is the slightly different way we would write this matrix for process with R. Now to the second part, moderation. Which effects are moderated? It's this one, the effect from the independent variable to the mediator 1, and it's this one, the effect from the independent variable to the mediator 2. In our W matrix, those two get a 1, the rest get a 0. This is the W matrix if we use process for SPSS, and this is the W matrix if we use process for R. Here in this example with R, we have the code for our process model 7 with two mediators, and below we have the code for the same model, but in this time without the model number, but with our B matrix and with our W matrix. And if we run both models, we get exactly the same results. So this way we can make sure that we have correctly specified our user-defined model in this case. let's look at a second example, and this is an example where there is no process model number. So if you want to test this model, you have to program it yourself. This is a serial mediation, so it looks a little bit similar to process model 6, but in the case of process model 6, there are many more effects. So you would have effects from the independent variable to the mediator 2 to mediator 3 and so on. So if you want to test exactly this model, you would have to build it yourself, which is quite easy, because here we don't have a moderator. Therefore, we only need the B matrix, not the W matrix. And let's build up our B matrix. Mediator 1 is predicted by the independent variable, so we start with a 1. Mediator 2 is not predicted by the independent variable, 0, but is predicted by the mediator 1, so here a 1. Mediator 3 is not predicted by the independent variable, 0, not predicted by the mediator 1, 0, but predicted by the mediator 2, 1. And the dependent variable is predicted by the independent variable, 1, not predicted by the mediator 1, so a 0, not predicted by the mediator 2, another 0, but predicted by the mediator 3, a 1. And if we take all those numbers together, we have the numbers for our B matrix. This would be the code using process for SPSS with this B matrix. This would be the code using process for R with this B matrix. So we use a B matrix, but not a model number. And then we would get the results for this model. So that's it for programming your own process models. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just click on the subscribe button below this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you in the next video.